Hi guys, welcome to my video review of the TEYES CC2 Plus that I fit recently in my Audi TT Mark II. So I'm making this video really just for information purposes for anyone that might be considering one of these units and umming and eyeing between whether it might be worth going for one of the more expensive units or some of the ones around the similar price points of about £250 to £300. You know, you could potentially go for one of those more established brands like Kenwood or Pioneer, Alpine, etc. So yeah, I apologize. This is the first time I'm making a video like this, so it's a bit of a mishmash in terms of things I go through. But I'm going to start with the review. I'm going to power on the car, show you a bit of the functionality. After that, there's a bit of a clip of me unboxing it, showing you what you get inside the box. A description of the wires that you get from the unit or with the unit from TEYES. And then there's a small video about how I hooked up the reversing camera, but it's not really a full installation video. It's not that hard. I mean, if you have even the slightest amount of, I don't know, willpower to try and get through something like this, you don't really need very much tools. If I was able to do it, you probably can as well. But yeah, so without further ado, I'm gonna turn the camera around and power up the unit. So just gonna turn the ignition on now in my car, and as you can see, it boots up pretty quickly. So a couple of things worth mentioning before I talk a bit about the functionality. It's obviously an Android tablet. It's obviously an Android. It's like equivalent. So if you're used to using Androids, I think, you know, the functionality will make a lot of sense in terms of these buttons up here, the return button, home button, and what's open at the moment button. I ordered it from AliExpress, from TEYES themselves. Incredibly unresponsive buyer, did not respond to any of my messages. I was extremely concerned that I was going to get a piece of rubbish when it arrived, but it arrived in 3 weeks pretty quickly, I thought, from something from China. And is there anything else worth mentioning before I talk through the rest of it? I don't think there is. So this is the launcher that I've chosen. There are a couple of preset launchers that come with the unit as such. I don't use any of them. And the reason is because for all the launchers, like to use this music widget, you either need to be listening to radio, which I haven't connected in this unit because you need an adapter. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be listening to radio, you need an adapter. I think that's standard for if you're upgrading the head unit to any other kind of head unit. Or you need to be using their MP3 app to load MP3s you put on the unit yourself. So I don't do that. So that's not how I use the unit. But this is the first page that comes up if you want it to. Or sort of a standard. What I do is normally jump in the car. My hotspot's on already, my Bluetooth is on my phone already. Everyone should be, because of, I suppose, contact tracing on the NHS as well. But yeah, there's the Wi-Fi's on immediately and the Bluetooth come on immediately. If you go back to when I turn the car on, that is pretty much instantaneous every time. It's extremely quick. And yeah, I just jump in the car. If Spotify was open and it was the last thing that was open, it will just load up like this. So if you turn the car off now, take the keys out, and put it back on ignition. Oh well, that. Oh no, see, yeah, it does. So it does just load up to the last thing that was on. So, you know, I'm just logged into my Spotify account. Play music as you're on a tablet. Steering wheel controls work pretty well. Absolute banger, that song. Anyway, so yeah, and also song changing works pretty well. So yeah, that works pretty well as well. So I was pretty happy with that. So on the DIS, as you can see, you get absolutely nothing useful at all. That is the only thing that has ever come up on the DIS. I think it's a bit of a shame, but I mean, again, you know, people said quite often, you know, it's worth it for the money, and I would agree. Like, you've not paid, you know, $250 to $350 for a screen this big. I mean, this is massive. Like, it's such a big screen. You know, as quick as this from another brand. So stuff like, you know, that not coming up on the DIS, it does great on me because I'm a bit OCD and you know, a bit funny like that. But I'll get over it because of the rest of it. So what I always do as well is I will click on this button, which is split screen, jump over here, and then I'll go back into the apps, and I'll usually load up maps. This is pretty much, if I'm going somewhere, 90% of the time, how I will drive the car. I'll have maps up on one side and Spotify up on the other, set this all up before I leave, obviously, and then we're good to go, basically. And yeah, like, it works pretty well. The navigation is pretty good. I had to install a GPS antenna. Haven't put it on my windscreen. As you can see, windscreen's still nice and clean. I put it right back over there through the fuse box, or around the fuse box area, wired it around the back of the unit, sort of there, and banged it over here. And that was pretty fine. And yeah, I think, yeah, obviously, as you can see here, it's not necessarily locating me very well, but that's because I'm in a car park somewhere. So yeah, other things for the head unit. So as I said, you do just have access to the Play Store, which is there. So yeah, I've got Talk Pro, I've got, YouTube. There's a bunch of apps which come as standard, which I think you can delete some of them, which I haven't got around to doing. BT Sport, BBC iPlayer. So that's split screened it. I don't want to split screen that. So just to show you relatively how quick it is, this will obviously be dependent on your phone as well. But I mean, I don't watch this, but I mean, let's banter, why not, for the purpose of this YouTube video. Press play. You can see it's like incredibly tactile and incredibly quick to move around. But like I said, you're essentially just dealing with a tablet, aren't you? So what else can I tell you while it loads up? So yeah, my lights are on. The illumination comes up. That color can be set in the menu. I've set it to red. You won't probably be able to tell in this video, but it's just slightly pinker than I'd like it to be. But I suppose, again, sort of get over that. I mean, I don't really know why this isn't playing now. Oh yeah, I just had to press play. And there you go. That's that playing. And as much as I'd love to give you a video review of Monstered University, it's not the purpose of this video. So let's close that. Close Spotify as well. And go back to the home page. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what else useful there is to show you. Oh yeah, the reversing camera. So for that, the car has to be on. So I'll turn the car on. So let's say I was listening to music. Let's put Spotify back on at a particular volume, so you can actually hear it. So now I'm going to go into reverse. And there's the reverse camera, and I thought, yeah. So as you might have heard, the volume drops, it goes into reverse, and the car knows what you're doing. So that works pretty well. The feed, I mean, yeah, I didn't actually spend much time explaining the feed because the volume was too high. But the feed from the camera, I can actually open from here and show you as well. So I can get camera open. Yeah, but it's pretty clear, to be honest. So they send it with a signal corrector as well, as I mentioned, and that is, as far as I'm concerned, pretty clear. I don't know if you can see those slight lines, but I mean, I'm not complaining about that for a reversing camera. I think, yeah, like, there's no lines, obviously, you get like with the new units and stuff like that link to your angle sensor and steering sensor, but I'm not really too broken up about that. It's nice to have, you get used to understanding where the lines are for you guys. So I'm pretty sure this right hand side corner and this left hand side corner, for me, are the boundaries for my car, so I'm completely fine with that. I'm trying to think about whether there's, again, anything else I really need to talk to you guys about before closing off this review. I think for the money, I think they're worth it. Equalizer, the last thing I'll talk through is the equalizer. This is the equalizer that comes with the car as standard. So as you can see here, it has a field section. This does not work because I cover that a bit when I talk about the wiring, because the left and right output from the head unit, the front left and right head output from the head unit is just duplicated to the rear channels. So if you go forward, you'll hear everything, and if you go back, you'll hear nothing. There is some wiring stuff you can do to sort that out. You have bass enhancement, and your subwoofer controllers here. I have a sub connected, and this does work through the subwoofer channel. You can up and down it as you please, turn it on and off. That does not work because I don't think I have it wired to a separate remote for the sub amp, but that's the amp on and off. Again, not that big a deal. Sound quality, what can I say? It sounds pretty good. I had to sort of put this curve in there to make it sound, it was sounding a bit flat. I have got the Bose system, it was sounding a bit flat, so I put the trebles up on one end. One of my mates suggested I do that, and it sounds pretty decent, to be fair. I mean, again, without a side-by-side comparison to one of these other units, I don't know how it's going to sound. But yeah, I think from my end, that really covers everything that I sort of might have wanted to know before I purchased one of these units. If there are any other questions, please leave them in the comments. I covered the last thing, if I can actually get to show, is the fit of the unit. So, I mean, it's pretty dark, but yeah, I mean, there's a tiny bit of a gap there, which I'm pretty sure I've been told I can push in completely to get it in, but on the whole, it looks great in the car, man. I mean, like I said, I can't really complain with this. I think it looks great. As I said, the way I typically use it is like that. Alright, so I'm going to be unboxing this now. I definitely had to get the flip knife out just for that. And we'll see for the first time what comes inside this TEYES unit box. Please excuse the surface I'm doing this on. It is an ironing board that I've repurposed for the use in this video. I think quite a nice touch, which I wasn't expecting, was the TEYES branded tape. So there's also obviously want to be careful doing this. Imagine I wait 3 weeks for this to come from China, which wasn't that long actually, I think, for a delivery from China. And I just scratch immediately down on the screen that it came in. That would suck. So this is what we have in the box. So quite a nice screen, I'd say, or quite a nice box that the screen comes in. It does look incredibly thin, so I'm hoping that the fascia, the fascia and fitting cage looks to be like it's in this package. So off the bat, that looks like it should be completely fine for the TT Mark II. Obviously, I have no idea how it will actually go. So I guess the thing is, with the TEYES units, this unit can probably go into a variety of cars, and this fascia you can probably put, again, you can probably get a variety of fascias that go into other cars. So that looks quite good. I'm assuming you've got to screw the screen into this. So we'll get onto that eventually. What else is in here? Put that to one side for now. So, a whole bag of cables and stuff. Wow, there's really quite a lot of cables. Maybe I wasn't maybe expecting this much. So, wiring harness. This is all connected to one piece. So I'm assuming this is the bit that goes into the back of the stereo. This will be for further connections for your output channels. These are connected, and then I'm assuming again one of these is for CAN bus. But when I come to actually fitting these in the car, that will become a lot more obvious. But yeah, wiring harness, fairly standard. hopefully shouldn't have to do too much splicing, etc. And these sides will go into the head unit, and these guys will send your unit to the amp. What's this? This, no real idea. Could this be some sort of... Oh, this is the SIM card holder. This is obviously a SIM card holder, I think. Can't open that. Yeah, genuinely don't have very much idea what this is. But again, I'm sure we'll figure it out when it comes to it. This is the radio connection. That's fine. I have no idea whether my Mark II TT has a 2-pin or a 1-pin connector. And this looks like my reversing camera. I don't know if you can just about see in there. This looks like the reversing camera assembly. Again, that will probably be a separate video that I upload on the installation for that. CAN bus module. So that will connect to one of the ports on the original wiring harness that I showed you guys. So this is the CAN bus corrector for talking to your steering wheel controls. A car camera filter. So it looks like these guys actually send you a car camera filter. So what I'm assuming this is for when people sometimes get some feedback on the wires that they run. So basically if you run wires which carry a signal next to power wires, you get interference. So I'm assuming that's a corrector for that. So that's quite nice that they've sent that. GPS antenna material, and they've been very kind as to send you some screws and a screwdriver. And finally the sort of USB ports and auxiliary in connections for, I'm guessing, if you wanted to wire up a separate auxiliary or video feed. Yeah, these are in cables for the head unit. So yeah, USB in, auxiliary in, GPS antenna, filter for the rear camera, standard wiring harness, which is going to do the majority of the work, CAN bus corrector, additional connections which I will figure out. I'm assuming that these sort of connect together. It looks like these probably will connect together in some format. And the radio wire and the unit itself. So let's have a quick look in here as well, without dropping the fascia off the end of the ironing board. So to be honest, I'm quite actually impressed with the sort of with the way that the design looks in the box, because it looks pretty legit, to be fair. And there's quite a lot of companies making this, and I suppose marketing is probably the only thing that could distinguish between them and the operating system and the user interface. But I guess I'd just have thought that a lot of them are very similar. Again, it looks pretty nice in here. A nice TEYES branded envelope with a microfiber, online instructions, I'm guessing, hopefully also in English and not just Russian. And finally the unit itself. This must be a 5G antenna, or not, yeah, a 5 or 4G antenna. I can't remember whether this comes with 5 or 4G. And finally the head unit. So it's quite slim actually, so this should leave loads of space behind the head unit for whatever reason that might be. And again, they've got TEYES branded tape on it, so I think I'm generally quite impressed with how this is looking at the moment. But yeah, that was the unboxing. Sorry I couldn't give you more information on those leads. I will update again when it comes to fitting. So yeah, hopefully it goes well. Alright, so what I'm going to try and explain now is the connections on the back of the head unit. So this is your reversing camera one. That will just go in over here. There you go, like so. This is the one that I believe that goes next. These next two ones are your USB ones. They're already in the car, so I'm not going to do anything with those. This one is the one that goes next to it, which is for out of the head unit to go to your rear right and rear left out. And this is, I have no idea, it says insert into port C, but just connects to another wire on the head unit. Then on this longer block at the end, you have this bigger connection, goes in like so, clicks in nicely. These are an absolute pain to take out, so you don't want to be doing this more than once. And on this sort of bigger block one, you've got your SIM card holder, I showed you before. You've got this, which is your fan power outlet, connects to this guy over here. And then you have a series of RCAs. You also have your mic. So most importantly on this one, you have your front right out, front left out, and then all of these I believe are just sort of auxiliary ins for for different stuff. And you also have a subwoofer out, and you have your remote cable. So the important ones to remember on this: front left, front right out, remote cable, and then this fan cable, which I'll also attempt to connect with one hand because I don't have my stand today. So that's the fan cable connected. Now on this end piece, this black one, this is essentially what connects to your main wiring loom. So on this there's also this mess of wires, CAN bus, easily found and connected. This is what is called an ISO connector. Essentially it's a really old school wiring loom connector, and the Audi TT Mark II would never use these. So this would be if you were installing it in another car. So basically this is completely redundant. If you wanted to, you could cut all the feed wires off to this and isolate them. I'm not going to because that's a lot of effort. And then this is what connects to the quad lock in your car, which hopefully I'll show you again if I manage to record a video of that. What you need to connect up on this is, you see here it has aux in left and right. So the wires that come out of the head unit over here go into here, feed this block and send the signal to the amp. Now one thing worth noting is the aux in left and right, if you're connecting this to a standard stereo, I think I'm using the Bose, but basically as you follow those wires into here, they are just duplicated with this little loop in the wiring block. What this means is on the standard head unit or the standard speaker configuration, you will not have fader control. These just connect to your front left and front right out, like so. Then the only thing other thing you need to connect is this amp C to this remote set of wires over here, and that will also send power to the back to your Bose amp. Now, if you did want fader control, see these wires that come out, rear right and rear left. What you'd have to do is find a way to connect those to this ISO connector over here. There is actually a way you can do it. You'd have to snip these wires and then solder some RCA males to them and connect to that black ground over there as well. It's not something that I can actually bother to do right now, so I'm not going to do it. But the other thing to note is on this ISO block, what you don't need, as I've already mentioned, it has these same RCAs, so you can literally just cut them off of here, solder them onto here, and then you would technically be able to get your fader control. So the only other one worth connecting was this guy over here. So don't connect it to the one off of this. It should be, yeah. So you want the one that comes out, yeah, you want the one that comes out of the block that you're going to be using. So as it says here, port C, connect those two, and then that's it. Just bang it in the car basically. Alright guys, so there's not much more to say other than that. I think the one or two things I feel like I remembered on my drive home was the fact that phone calls was another thing that people might be interested in. So phone calls generally okay. There is a built-in microphone to the head unit, which I think is okay, but it does make sense to wire your own one, so I am going to do that. I'm just going to put it around the console where the lights are. The other thing was, God, now I forgot again. Oh yeah, Bluetooth phone calls, for some reason at the moment I can't get the phone numbers to come up. Apparently you can sync your contacts using Google Contacts or something, and then they will work. Haven't got around to that, so at the moment it just comes up with the phone number and I have no idea who I'm answering the phone to, but hopefully I can resolve that as well. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Hope it was worth some value to someone, because otherwise maybe there was no point. But yeah, like I said, any more questions, anything, just leave a note in the comments and I'll do my best to give you guys an answer. Thanks for watching. So it's freezing outside, but I'm installing my rear view camera today because I want to get this finished. I've just removed this plastic trim which just pulls up. It sits on those two little clips down there and has 3 of those really annoying plastic clips which always break, so it might be useful to just have some of those lying spare. The idea is I'm putting my rear view camera here because some people go through, you know, those things and that looks like a massive pain, and it's literally going to be in exactly the same position. The idea is, someone told me on Facebook, grind a tiny little gap here using a grinder. I got the disc down there, just enough of a depression for the wire to be able to fold over the lip, and then the seal will go down a lot better. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll give that a go. Grinding the car is obviously terrifying, but it's literally just a tiny enough bit so that the wire can go over properly, and then I'll put the seal back down, and then that's the sort of most worrying bit done. So this is where I've installed the rear view camera. The seal's up at the moment. You can see here there is this tiny gap that I've done for the wire to sit in a bit better as the seal goes over. Now I am just going to sand and touch this up with some paint now because I didn't the day before, and obviously that could lead to rust problems later down the line. And I am going to reseal this at some point, probably not today because it is freezing, but just thought I'd show you where it is. As you can see, it is a little bit big, but gives you a great video, and I'll send a picture with the boot down. With the boot down you can see it a lot less. Let me now try and explain this camera stuff, which isn't always that easy to explain. But here is the lead that comes out of the back of the camera. There is a red one, and I will start with that red one. There's a blackened wire that comes out of it. That I've got going into this filter that came there. It's like a signal corrector I mentioned earlier. And then that goes to the red part, goes to the yellow lead that comes out of the head unit. The black part just needs to go to a ground somewhere. Excuse the absolute filth in the bottom of the car. There's obviously been a leak here in the past. Now, the one that comes out of the head unit then, this yellow one, of which the red part is connected to this red guy, is the 12 volt supply, as you can see there. Now, you can tap this into the reversing or the rear light, but what I'm going to do, as I've discovered it works and it's far easier as I'm wiring an amplifier, is just wire it to the remote cable that is connected to the front, because that works for me and it is easier. Otherwise you are going into one of these looms down here, finding your respective 12 volt and then going in that way. And some people go, meh, well, you shouldn't be tapping into the electrics of the car because it throws voltage problems and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, I'm going into my remote. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. The wires are a bit of a mess, but yeah, good luck if you try to do it.